Okay, welcome.
Are we allowed to talk about how much
welcome.
weed James hams right now?
Sure,
Yeah, of
he's
course,
not going to
it's
care.
totally
Yeah,
legal.
welcome.
Legal
Hi,
weed.
everybody. Welcome. That's how we start a show right there, with James busting out pot like it's Krispies. That's nice.
My son's like, well, Daddy, what is that? It's funny. They sort of avoid it. It's like the one thing they never look at, talk about, or touch, even though it's always there and we've never talked. And then finally he's like, what is that, Daddy? And I'm like, it's Daddy's medicine plant. And he's like, no, it isn't.
You call it, it's interesting. You call it a medicine plant. Don't you just want to tell him it's pot? Don't you just want to tell him it's weed?
No, because I don't want him to understand the existence of recreational mind-altering substances until he's at least like 9, right? Just kidding.
Yeah, 9 is okay. A 9-year-old can start doing drugs. That's fine.
Yeah.
He already knows what a symbiotic relationship is, so certainly he knows what my relationship is like with weed. Right?
Daddy, I want to smoke a joint, but you're only 8. Give it a year.
Yeah, it's good you're holding him off till 9.
Your kid already understands what it. My kids knew what a dysfunctional relationship was like since they could remember, so I got that covered.
Let's be honest, though. Is there any such thing as a functional relationship?
No,
come on.
I don't think
and
so.
if there's somebody that thinks that they have a functional relationship, they're more fucked up than everybody else.
Dude, even the word functional, when you say it, everyone thinks of Viagra.
That's not true because I didn't, and so that's not
weird.
everybody.
I don't think
You're no.
I didn't.
All right.
Anyway,
Well,
welcome to the podcast.
Thanks a lot, guys. Totally got my back on that one.
Yeah. My name is Dean. Well, sometimes, James, something comes out of your mouth and everybody at the round table goes, what happened?
Well, it went over your heads.
At least once a pod.
Yeah, James, sometimes things go in your mouth and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
Listen, I told you there'll be no second time, Darrin.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I'm just sitting here waiting for the feature that we're going to start next week, which is called Watch James Eat a Banana.
Oh, it was, first of all, it will be one motion and I'll wink and it will be over. Right?
Would you go slow?
No, I would just.
Would you go slow when you
I
ate
can
it?
validate that. I was there. I watched it.
Because have you ever watched a dude? See, now listen, I'm not going to read into anything that this might mean about me, and I sure hope that nobody else does. Watching another man eat a banana really slowly bothers me. You know, slow eaters. And same thing with a hot dog. And I'm not sure. It's not that it bothers me in as much as that I'm like, dude, speed it up. Like, you know.
What does it say about?
I don't know what it is.
Slowly, though.
I don't know.
Hello, it's homophobia. Obviously.
Do you think women think twice about taking a banana into work? I wondered that. Like, is she sitting there going?
Only if they're racist, because then they don't
She's-
want people to think they're going to throw it at the black lady that works across the hall. Right?
She's sitting there thinking, maybe I'll take a nectarine today.
I'm going to bring in a
Because
banana.
I work with a guy
named.
named Dean who's going to time how long it takes me to eat this.
Yeah, there's got to be a time limit on guys eating bananas. It's like 7 seconds, I think.
Have you ever seen guys eat a banana?
You can't
that's
finish
been
a
sliced
banana.
up?
But yes, I have. But there's a point to that. A lot of guys are weird. A lot of people are weird that cut up their bananas. You just eat it.
Also, Log,
Elon.
to offset your number, Log. How many girls take the banana because they want people to see them eat a banana?
And I'm okay. I'm okay with both decisions.
James. Exactly.
Obviously,
Now,
they
Dean,
cancel.
I
They
don't
cancel
think
each
I've
other
ever
out.
seen a
Obviously,
guy,
and they
you know,
all eat their bananas at the same place at lunchtime. And it's
In all seriousness, Dean, I don't think I've ever seen a guy eat a banana slow in my life. It's always like,
I have. How's that go again?
I don't do anything.
I've never seen a guy go like this.
I have. And that's where I
No,
came
you
up
haven't.
with knowing it was a problem. Yes, I have. I had my
Oh,
buddy
Oh, you
Cam.
have not.
Yes, he
Yeah, but
was.
what was
I
the
swear to God.
context,
No,
Steve?
dude, I was like 19 years old. My buddy Cam, and I won't, he's now a very high ranking police officer, so I'm not going to tell you who he is. He used to eat bananas really slow. And like he'd sit there and look at you while he was eating it, and it was, and no one said anything, and no one, it didn't creep anybody out. It was just weird how slow he ate the bananas. Now, yeah, go ahead, right in the middle of it. I have a problem with guys that eat bananas really slowly. It's just a thing I've got. Doesn't make sense. You get what
we
I'm
lost
saying.
James. What happened?
No. I don't know how many ways I can say that you hate gay people. No, that's not me talking. That's like, you know who's talking. That's
everybody
the
else.
cult talking. I'm telling you though, like if you send this clip to certain places, you're
Why
gonna be
can I
famous
ask you
for it.
something? Why do you always do that?
Because it's always there and it's everywhere.
Yeah, but it bothers you. Like I want to uncover that before we get any further because I don't want you to keep. I don't want you. Yeah, I know, but like it's like you've got this thing inside you that's saying, if it's going to be equal, it's going to be equal across the fucking board, and I'm going to make sure that everybody knows how I feel about it.
It's
like,
a trap.
why do you care so much?
No, I don't think it's that. I think what it is like people are telling me that up is down, and for the first time we're saying, okay, take this physical problem and apply emotion to it before you decide what you're going to do with it. So that
I get that. I get that you care. I get that you care. But why is it coming out in conversations about fucking bananas?
Because my brain is now programmed to hear the triggers that the cult hears. So whenever I hear those keywords, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna bust his balls a bit now, because if I was
asking,
if I was a person who rhymed with the word stabby, and I said that in front of Stabby might get really upset with me. Right.
Yeah, but then it makes sense. I think you got some work to do in that area to let a few things go, because you're never going to win the race wars. You're just never going to beat all.
I'm not in the.
No, but I mean, you're never gonna beat everybody that's got like you're never gonna beat all the pussies out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know what you're doing. What you're doing is like you're so sick and tired of all the right fighting dicks on the planet that what you're saying is, all you people for over inclusiveness to go way too far and imagine this weird utopia, just shut the fuck up. I totally understand that. I think everybody gets that, and it bothers everybody. The cancel culture thing, where everybody creates problems with race, people create problems with gender fluidity or whatever whatever anybody calls it. You know what I've decided, and I'm just passing this information along to you. I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care about any of it. I don't care if two people want to fight about a word. I don't care if someone's going to get angry about a noun. I'm just not going to talk about anything other than being inclusive in that community. And outside of that, I don't care. I don't care.
Dude, your bag of fucks is gone.
I don't care.
You don't give a fuck.
I give my bag of fucks. I dropped it off probably about a year ago, I would say, at the park. And sometimes I see it when I go for walks. Sometimes I don't. Because other people are like, other people will pick up that bag of fucks and they'll carry it around for a bit and go, fuck, it's too heavy to give all these fucks. I got to put this bag of fucks down. And so they take the bag of fucks and they're like, fuck, whoever put that there, and taking it back to them. So they put it by the same bench, because it's too much brain power to give so many crazy fucks.
Can I defend James quickly?
I'm not shitting on him. I get it. I'm just saying, hey, try not giving a fuck.
That was a wrong.
Put down your bag of fucks, I was saying.
I think James does it like people get up and do a crossword. Like he needs it in his life. Is that fair, James? I'm not trying to be a dick.
I don't think I need it in my life. I think you were right up until you said that, because I think it just touches on all these other issues. But the reason why the culty people actually were able to legislate culty ideas is because people didn't give a fuck. People put their bag of fucks down. And now I don't think it's like, they're going to.
Oh, he turned it on you, Dean.
No, but I don't think fascists are going to come.
I like the discourse.
I don't think fascists are going to come to my door and tell me that I must speak in certain ways or else my life will be over. But I don't want male-bodied people playing women's sports, because I think it's clearly self-evident that that's a stupid idea, right?
Hey, did you see that rapper the other day? That the British rapper that beat the women's deadlift record?
Dude, that's bravery, is what that is.
Did you see that?
No, I saw
know, but it's hilarious,
dude.
I saw the video.
There's this rapper in England who campaigns against this stuff. Once again, I dropped my bag of fucks over by Darren's fucks. Neither of us give any fucks. We have no fucks to give.
There's no.
If you find my bag, can you let me know?
Yeah. So anyway, my point is this: is that, to your point, James, and I get it. I'm glad you have a bag full of fucks, because we don't have any left. Someone has to give fucks.
It's just one big giant fuck.
I know.
Like
it's a massive bowl of fuck. But my point is this dude came out one day and he's like, I identify as female. And everybody's like, wow, because he's a pretty famous rapper in England. And he's like, now I'm going to go down to the gym and break the women's deadlift record. And he did.
Yeah. That's like an Andy Kaufman level trolling. It really is. It's like, I'm a woman now. Why? Because your laws make it possible for me to just declare myself a woman. And now I'm going to go beat records. What's up, bitch? Like,
what is the
and he'll be allowed to
woman's
say
record?
that too. That's an interesting one.
I gotta look that up.
Can he, even though he is a woman, is he now entitled to walk into a room full of women and say, "What's up, bitch"? That's a question.
683 pounds. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really fun? Do you know what's really funny? Do you remember Rachel Dolezal?
No.
Yeah, the woman who identified as black.
Right. So she's a punchline. She's a punchline and everything, and I get it. She was the butt of many jokes.
I do remember this
for many years. But to be perfectly honest with you, there are a lot. Like I would put Caitlyn Jenner in this category. If you watch the documentary on Rachel Dolezal, she's got a better case than a lot of people who still have beards when they transition and people like that or whatever like that just don't look anywhere close to being feminine.
I think can I just say, I think it's really
hold on, please. Because Rachel's entire family was black people. And she raised all her black siblings because they were being abused by foster parents. So she protected them and raised these black siblings and just, I guess, felt the way she felt. Now you can say whatever you want. Like, I don't know if she thinks her skin is black or if she just appeals to the culture, whatever. She was the punchline. I get it. But come on, like she has a better case than a lot of people do, like than a lot of male criminals who are getting sentenced and literally on sentencing day are like, I'm a woman, and they transfer them to like.
Oh, that's a good ploy. You murder a bunch of people, then you identify as a woman and go to a woman prison.
You know what?
I was saying to a journalist
or they still send you to a. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying to a journalist in the UK that it's going to be really interesting in 20 years when we notice that there's a great spike in violent crime among women from like 2015 until like 2035. It's going to go from nothing to something pretty significant.
I got a great life hack. It happened here today. We were actually reading a story on the news. So this woman gets pulled over. She's got no insurance. And while the cop is in writing her ticket, she calls in a 911 shooting 2 blocks away.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the cop's like, I got to let you go. I got an emergency. So the cop takes off. Well, they of course got her number. They got her phone number, so they eventually arrested her. But she thought she was getting out of the ticket.
Yeah, it sounds smart until you put 1 and 1 together, and it's surprisingly 2.
Well, there's a way to fix that. Just get a burner phone. Keep it in your glove box.
I was just thinking of The Wire, right?
Yeah.
Just get a burner phone, call 911, and snap it.
I'll tell you what. I'll go on the air tomorrow.
Go on the river.
Yeah,
and I'll tell her next time you do this.
Burner phone.
Pay as you go.
Get a pay as you go. About guys getting out of tickets because they pour water in their lap and they say they had to pee.
I pissed. Yeah. You know what I do? I just straight up shit myself.
Just now you did?
Yeah. No, when I get pulled over, it works every time. I'm like, dude, I just shit my pants. Thanks a lot. And even if I don't have to shit, I'll try to shit.
And the smell of shit is overwhelming than your whiskey breath. And
yeah.
It's like,
I'm
sir,
like, do you want to put your head in
roll up
here?
your window,
You don't want to
please.
put your head in here. Yeah.
You're like, how to get out of a ticket.
I know a guy that did that
pants.
for real. I had a friend of mine in university who shit himself on the way back from an all-day volleyball tournament. He was in the sun all day and he was dehydrated. And
I'm going to go find my big project.
Yeah, go ahead. Anyway, he shit and he got pulled over doing like 150 in the middle of Alberta. And the guy's like, dude, go home.
That's
and walk.
nothing.
Yeah. What? 150 in Alberta? It's like 70.
That's
anyway,
that's amazing.
I was gonna say something to James, but he left.
He gives a fuck, so he had to
He
leave.
gives too many fucks sometimes.
I think I might want to have a word with him about his snowflakes.
What do you mean? In the
They're
background?
bothering me.
Time to come down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're distracting.
His kids did it. Who cares? They look great.
Well,
I think James is that guy though. He needs that kind of conflict in his life.
But But here's the thing: is that if here's where I'm at, and a lot of people will say this is a cop out. A lot of people will say it's me being non-committal on an issue. But much like I don't feel like I have the right to have an opinion on what a black man goes through. I don't have the right to have an opinion what someone identifies as. Does that make any sense? Like, that, because it's a space that's theirs. It's not mine. Didn't live in it. Didn't go through the experience. Completely disingenuous if I say, oh, I understand it. You don't fucking understand. Like I had a guy on this podcast. He's a trucker, and had him on a couple of times when we started just kind of farting around and figuring out tech. Great guy. Who's a trucker, now a female, and said the decision was, this was his decision to either live as a female or kill himself. So do like life-changing, life-altering surgery. Be disowned by family members, possibly never get a job again. Have to hide certain parts of me when I go in for job interviews, that kind of stuff. But he's willing to do all that, live like that, because that's how he identifies. So it was striking to me as he's telling me this, is like, it's death or this. And I'm like, well, I don't have a fucking right to have an opinion on any of this stuff ever again. So that's how I feel about it. So
some people have a problem. I think some people have the problem with the trucker. I was on that podcast, Dean, and she's...
Plus, it's way easier not to care because no one says anything to you.
Amazing. But there are people, you would think, speaking, like her, who are genuinely feel like they're born a woman and need to gravitate towards that lifestyle. And she's like, it's either I'm a woman or I'm dead. Like, that's okay. Wow. Okay. You're a 10 out of 10 as far as seriousness, but there's probably some people on the scale that are probably like a 1 or a 2 and do it just for attention, or do it just because they might advance it. It might advance themselves in some way.
What was the name of that Jonathan Yanev guy?
Jonathan Yanev. Yeah.
Jonathan Yanev, who's just a creep that lives in British Columbia, that identifies as a female, and several texts going back and forth with like 12, 13-year-old girls about their periods, lurking in and around female bathrooms. What do you, there was that story, so I think that's what you're talking about, that small percentage, but yes, right. You can judge that.
I talked to that person. And when I was doing stuff for the Post Millennial at the time, before they became QAnon, but the guy was like the classic case of predator. Basically, he posed as like a manager for a boy band in order to get close to these really young girls, to message them salacious shit. So he's a great example, though, of like, it's not transphobic to say that it's dangerous for women to be in vicinity where they allow trans women. The danger is that cisgendered men might co-opt the trans identity and then victimize women. So it's not even an anti-trans argument. It's an anti-straight male who happens to be a predator argument, and so they built the trans issue on top of this Trojan horse opportunity for predators, where it's like self-ID is all we need. You're infallible. Well done. And everyone's got to believe you and yada, yada. And it's just like, okay, well.
So your issues with self-ID, depending on the person's motive, that's understandable, right? That's 100%.
And my biggest thing is two things. Is one, I don't think you should give any hormone blocking anything to kids like under the age of 16, at least, in my opinion. And I don't think that you should ever put male-bodied people in situations where women were just raped or they're imprisoned or whatever, vulnerable in any way. That's what I think. But because again, those two,
I speak to the second one seems reasonable.
I don't disagree with you on the age thing. I think that's probably going to be something that comes down the pipe eventually. It's Frankenstein shit to try to like direct and steer people towards a gender when they're not even at puberty yet. It's fucked up. Like, I mean, no, we're all playing with fire because we have no idea what's happening. Like, there's no long-term studies for this shit. There's nothing. There is people out there though. I mean, Darrin we were just touching on one there, but my kids went to school with a girl who transitioned to a boy, and it was early on, like grade 4, grade 5, grade like young.
Sometimes they know. See, that's the thing, is sometimes they know. You can't. And again, we can't judge that. That's my opinion. We can't.
I'm judging the parents, not the kid.
Well, you can't even do that, I don't think, because I'm sure the parents would probably rather have it the other way too, if that's what the daughter or the son wanted.
But James, I have two kids, right? The gamble is this: either my son or daughter grows up really confused, maybe depressed, all these stats that are bad, yada yada, and we deal with that, or I don't know. This could have any effect. I don't know. There's no long-term studies. That seems like a higher roll of a dice than the first thing to me.
Do you know that Jonathan Yanev guy we're talking about, Locke and Darrin?
I do not know.
He went to. This is a fucking great story. It was a huge story. We wrote about it a couple times. James wrote.
By the way,
James,
we're dead naming him right now because he goes by a different name. He goes by
Jessica?
his female name. Yeah. So right
Jessica
now we're dead
Yanev.
naming him. We can get banned from Twitter if we post this.
Fuck, sorry, Jessica. Sorry, this Jessica Yanev had at last count filed something like 21 human rights complaints against estheticians that lived in her area for refusing to wax her balls.
This is the fucking society we live in now. This is so fucking stupid.
21 people were like, okay, yeah, come on in. Okay, have a look.
The fact that she got a date in court.
No, I'm not doing that. 21 times that happened. And to the point where they had to actually sue her to stop going into places to ask people to wax her balls.
I just wanted a clean
asshole,
taint.
by the way. She wanted the whole thing done. She wanted her balls, the taint, and the bung piece finished up too. And they're like, no, we don't do that. So that's what you're dealing with. I mean, but those are worst case scenarios. And I guess my whole point was let it go. Speaking of which, I'll do
it for nothing. I'll do it for free.
I'm sure you will.
What are friends for? Like, Dean, if you called me and wanted me to
all right,
shave your balls,
What's a flight to Los Angeles?
If you were in LA and needed it done and you were in a bind.
Yeah. Man, I really, really need someone to shave my nuts.
I'm not finding any waxing places right now in LA. Darrin,
you should get the guy that Trump hired to wipe his ass. And he's used to
Keith Schiller.
Closed places, right?
I had an ingrown hair on my ass one day, and I spent literally 4 hours trying to get James to deal with it. My co-host, the little person. I'm like, you're right there.
What did you want him to do? Like pierce it?
I needed, I brought in tweezers and everything. Yeah. It was like the whole show. Jimmy, come over.
Can we talk just for a second? Because Lochlin Radio, you're listening, watching to the Dean Blundell Show podcast. Lochlin on radio. He does a morning show on Cruise 95.7 FM in
live?
Edmonton. Yeah. We've been live the whole time. That's how we do this. And I was on the radio for a long time, and Darrin was on the radio for a long time. And as we all know, these Bell cuts are happening this week. They happened last week and this week. And Bell cut 210 jobs here in Ontario. And big names like Dan from Jay and Dan were toast. Jay's still there. Dan's gone. Dan has subsequently been unloading on Bell on Twitter for the past couple of days, and it has been fucking hilarious to watch. Like super fucking funny. Mm-hmm. Super funny, challenging him on Bell Let's Talk and all that stuff. Then on top of that, the rest of the cuts went west. So today, Hamilton, Vancouver, and Edmonton lost their TSN stations, sports stations. Everybody was fired. Everybody. Hundreds. I'm not accurate on the hundreds, but around 100. And here's what happened. And this is I've seen and heard and watched mass firings, been part of my own. This was awesome in a very unawesome kind of way. According to a report from a guy that actually did some work there and was part of the staff to some extent. My understanding is that, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that they had 30 minutes to pack their shit and get out in Vancouver.
What?
30 minutes. 30 minutes. Can you imagine someone walking into your place of work, Locke, while you're on the air? This happened during the morning show, by the way. And they went to like classic rock or something. I don't know. Someone walked in and they said, we're flipping the format. You have 30 minutes. We're instituting a shutdown policy. You need to get out and get out now.
What?
That'd be
I've
that would be
learned,
shocking.
yeah, I've learned a long time ago to not get too anchored into an office situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was
So,
the format they were in, and what was the format they went to?
They
well,
were
TSN is
sports.
all sports. So I think
Sports to classic rock.
Yeah.
No, okay. I thought maybe the sports stations generally on that TSN franchise probably just started taking feeds, like doing.
I just know that
Bloomberg News owns one of them, don't they?
Because that would be a
11:50.
hilarious transition if it went from sports talk
right into classic
to
rock.
classic rock. Hey, let's talk about that Mahomes Super Bowl coming up next. Leonard Skinner, we're out.
That's
That
literally what
wouldn't
it
be
was.
bad. Yeah.
That's literally what it was. This is from a guy named Paul Chapman who works for the Vancouver province. He did some work at TSN. He said, LOL, staff were told there would be an exit message going on air. Also, corporate security would be implementing the shutdown process in the next 30 minutes. And so if they had anything personal to retrieve, they should do it as fast as possible.
Oh,
Now, hold on a second. Like, if you had to guess what their motive was, is that so people won't pillage certain files or something? Like, because that's not a PR winning strategy, right?
it's all about what they say on the air.
Can't understand it. I don't like, if you ask me to,
What they say, what they'll say on the air. They're worried,
and you know what?
about what
That
they're
makes
going to do.
sense.
and I'll tell you something. Worst possible thing they could have done.
Yeah.
Specifically because of their record-breaking initiative with Bell Let's Talk. But more importantly, if the goal is to be better as a business, don't you start by being better to the people as opposed to pretending nothing happened? Radio's fucking terrible for that.
Shareholders.
Radio's terrible for that. But don't you want to just, if you're going to make a public move like that, don't you want to publicly be good to everybody so that everybody goes, you know what? They handled it really, really well. We understand everything that's happening. We've been educated as to why they're doing this. It sucks for us. It sucks for everybody. But up until this point, Bell has been raving about their shareholder value. Bell has been taking $122 million in subsidies from the government to pay their shareholders dividends. Dividends. That was a month ago. And then 2 weeks ago, they do Bell Let's Talk about mental health. And then on top of it, they fire 210 people here in Ontario. It moves west, and they just tell everybody to grab their shit and get out as fast as they can. Is that the sign of a corporation that this is just a question for the table? If you could maybe help me out with it.
Yeah,
Is that the sign of a company that really cares about mental health at all?
Do you think
Is
they
it
do
making
Bell Let's
news?
Talk next year?
Is it making news in Canada or just Ontario and BC?
Oh, it's huge. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's
So the
everywhere
optics
because
of
it
this
was
are very
awful, terrible. The worst I've seen in a long time. Like the dark underground vibe that goes on with telcos and tel companies like Rogers and Bell, because everybody knows, you feel it. They got you by the balls. They either got your phone or your cable or one or both, or you pay through the ass for more unreliable second, third party carriers, that kind of stuff. Like they know they got you, right? So they don't have to really care. And because they don't have to care, they do things like this. After taking a bunch of money from the government, crying poor, then telling everybody in a call a few weeks ago they had $5.3 billion in cash on hand.
Now, doesn't one almost negate the other? Like, if you or does one prove the other? So when you get the 120 million or whatever it was in subsidies, and then you fire 200 employees, were you saying when you received the money that you needed the money to pay the employees that you then fired? Or were you like, wow, see, we were so broke, we still have to fire the employees? Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand enough about economics to understand why a company is allowed to operate in ways that are clearly detrimental to
because the government doesn't hold them accountable. They get away with it, and they
yeah,
continue to get away with it. So they just don't give.
Well, there might be some shit behind the scenes that we're not aware of. Meaning, they might have said to the government of Canada, "If we don't get this subsidy, we're going to fire 1,000 people in 2 provinces. So 2,000 versus 200 in Ontario and 200 in BC."
In fairness, that story would have leaked. the government would have leaked that story in a heartbeat, right?
You don't know. They're not
to make themselves look good.
No way.
Oh yeah, they
There's
would.
no way
they
the
would.
Canada's gonna leak a story
100%.
saying we got a gun to our head and we back down.
You know what? Maybe when they were a crown corporation, but no, I don't think that the government would do that. The government would be like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And then the public would be like, what? 1,000 employees? And then they'd have no momentum, and their PR people would be like, okay, try to make a quiet deal, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the way it is. It's and you know, it's unfortunate because radio has sort of always been like that. Radio is and television, both. And I was watching it with Dan O'Toole when he got fired. Dan spoke out, and it was extraordinary, right? Like, you never fucking see people in media, because media is so small in this country. You never see people in big media or leave big media companies shit on their former employer. Very rarely, right? It's always a pre-negotiated.
You get told, don't burn any bridges. Yeah.
And why do they tell you that? Because this is interesting. And then I'm going to get into a story I know of someone I used to work with that got fired from Rogers, and a story that'll fucking amaze you. But why do they do that, Locke? Because you said that to people as a boss, right? Hey, don't sue us. You know, don't sue us on the way out, because I'll tell somebody. Or no, you haven't?
I've never said that. No. And I'm the guy that runs around the bridge with a can of gas. But I also got, job offers from the companies that fired me, all of them as well. So, yeah.
Why do they
anyway?
Because it's fascinating, isn't it?
But it is. It's just part of the business, right? And that's why I think everyone's at sort of at a loss to say anything, because it's just, this is what it is. This is the world that we live in, and what difference does it? We're not going to make an impact. Right. I always like watching the fallout, like the Dan O'Toole's and stuff like that. But I don't know why I like watching that, because it also makes me sick to my stomach.
Let me get this straight, Locke and Dean. So you're both saying I shouldn't say the Corus Entertainment is a gigantic piece of shit and fuck them up the ass? I shouldn't say that?
No, I didn't say that.
They tell you,
people tell you in the business, don't burn any bridges. Don't.
Yeah. So what happens is, let me. You've been sued, or you've sued?
I've gone after for that, and they waived it.
Say it.
I got ripped off by a company, and they just don't care. They don't care. So I went after them.
If we were talking about this last show, but Bell, and you can see it especially in their like cell phone customer service and stuff like that. They have a line item in their profit projections for sure that is like errors or whatever they have it categorized, where they basically say they have 1 million customers, and they'll take like 100,000 of those customers, and they'll take away plans, because then the algorithm will restart them and it will cost a lot more, or they'll like do whatever else. It's always about changes to the accounts, and it costs like 100,000 customers, like an average of like $80 a month or whatever. And then out of that 100,000 customers, I'm saying probably like 2,800 don't do anything about it. So there's your profit margin. Seriously, because everybody I know has had like completely ridiculous people that were living in the country around where I live were getting new builds done. And then Bell would come in and like hook up the wiring part, and they'd have no service, but they'd get a bill every month as if they had service. And they're like, dude, we don't have any service. And they're talking to a teenager in Manila, and they're just like, well, I'm sorry, Bob, but my rebuttal screen says that I must now say the next sentence, and that's it.
Is that what they sound like in Manila?
Brent Donnelly is Brent Donnelly is our VP of growth. He's also the host of the Brenton Tour podcast, Livecast, Journey for Java, and Kids on the Escalator. He's in Vancouver, and he joins us. This is like hard-hitting news. So
hard-hitting news.
Nice to see you. So it's funny because, first of all, you don't have to end every text chain with me with an LOL.
Did I do that?
Everyone.
Okay.
I get like 4 texts.
I did LOL. Okay.
4 texts. Dude, I'm gonna read it to you. I was just looking at it. You're like, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. LOL.
Interesting. Well, it's funny.
This happened and this happened and this happened. LOL. And I'm like,
funny to me.
These LOLs. Yeah. And it's all about the
serious. Like my mom has cancer. LOL.
No, it's about all these firings. So, so what's the deal?
Fired, LOL.
What do you
Yeah.
know? Like, because you're texting me, fuck, this place is on fire. It's crazy
It
out
is.
here.
It's crazy. People are losing their mind in Vancouver right now because it is. I mean, this station has been. I've been out here like 16 years. It's been literally a staple of this city since I've been here. Every single person, it's like 1040 and Steve Fox. Really, that's it. And Rock 101 to an extent, but not really. It's kind of those three. And when they launched the new station 650 a couple of years ago, everyone was like, no one's going to listen to that. And then they got the Canucks. And so 1040 was holding on. But these personalities have been on the air here for 20 years. I don't know if there's anybody else that's been on longer. Locke, you could probably talk about it, Dean, as far as guys that you know in the country. But I don't know if there's anyone that's been on the air longer than these guys, and that to just wipe them out. The city is literally burning to the ground right now. People are lighting Twitter up like crazy, especially when they found out they had, to your point, Dean, like 30 minutes to get out of the building, and the fact that the announcement came from Toronto. and they already hate Toronto enough. Apparently, the announcement that came down like to all the employees came from like a recorded message from Toronto.
And they put it on the radio?
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
So they went
Now
from
they-
flyers.
now
They
hang
went
on.
from
And now
flyers
they
on
just
telephone
listen.
poles
They've just
to
announced that
robocalls.
they've
Holy
just
shit.
announced that it's going to become a comedy station. They're going to a funny format.
That was their opener. They did it. They fired
Hey!
people via robocalls. That's crazy.
I
They're
got
just-
I just got
It was like
Toronto
an emergency announcement that Bell put on TSN in Vancouver. I imagine it would be the same announcement they simulcast on. This is one of the best ones I've ever heard.
I bet you it was recorded in Manila.
So they simulcast an announcement that everyone's fired at like 9:30 in the morning. Is that correct?
They
And
went
it's
right
on
off the air.
all 3 TSN stations. And as soon as that was done, what do they start playing? Pat Benatar, because my friend Ian McCletchy, who you and I both know, who I've known him since he was in the 9th grade. I went to high school with him. Did the morning show there out of work. Two kids, one kid who was actually quite ill for a while. So he's out of work this morning. And now I just saw it. They were playing like Pat Benatar music on the radio, and he was showing a picture of the radio on his phone. Like he just took a little video of when he was driving, which is illegal, Ian. Shouldn't be doing that, but don't worry about it today. So that's all I know. But after the announcement, which is fucking incredible. It's like it's like a 911 alert. Emergency.
Well, they
You've
played
been fired.
They played after Bell Let's Talk and the Madness. So you ready for this? Everyone
Yeah.
gets canned, and they play "Time of Your Life" by Green Day.
Oh, it's
Wow.
classic. You have to.
That's the first song.
That's the first
the
thing.
first
You
song
have. Yeah, because it's
that they
over.
played.
It's sad. They look nice when they do it.
Yeah, but they play that song when you like want to like swoon with your best gal pals. Like this is like you have murderous rage against your former employer, and they're playing that song. Like that's
It's going insane out here. People are.
I
like-
have a PD who listens to this. He's actually listening right now. Just sent me a message. So he had to pack an employee who worked with him for 38 years. Had to pack his shit up and send him home
Today,
this past week. Yeah,
as part of these cuts.
it's
38 years.
awful. It really
38
is.
years. You know, and here's the thing is that I haven't been really publicly critical of Bell or Rogers in the past, unless I've had a reason to be. And I try to stay away from the inanimate objects. Like I try to stay away from the keywords like the Bells and the Rogers and the Sportsnets or the TSNs, the brands, because the brands are inanimate. They don't matter to me. They don't matter to fucking anybody else. It's the people involved in the brands. And the crazy part about what's happened all week with all of these people is they probably feel like shit about themselves and they couldn't control any of it. None of it. These are people, hardworking people, tenure, dedication, loyalty for that brand, gearing up for Bell Let's Talk, which should be renamed Bell Let's Talk in the boardroom after your show.
Let's talk about how we're going to fire you.
But that is, and contraction is going to continue to happen. Don't get me wrong. But this one isn't just contraction. The story about this one is about hypocrisy. The story about these Bell Media cuts is about hypocrisy. It's about grandstanding on behalf of mental health, because when you say you're for something, when you display virtue, don't you have to live that virtue?
Yes.
Isn't that part of it? Is it when you say, hey, this is one of our main company tenets, don't you then have to live that tenet?
Yeah,
I would assume you do.
You end up making a decision if you're Bell, whether or not you're going to react corporately and execute your strategies corporately or culturally. And they always choose corporately, even when Bell Let's Talk is more of a cultural kind of, lexicon or, trend that we embrace once a year for mental health reasons. And, and then when it comes to making decisions for their bottom line, the culture goes out the window. So that's, they're not a company that follows their own credo, I guess. Right?
My thing is, I don't understand how anybody can take them seriously at this point. If you're great tune,
getting ready, queuing it up.
Yeah.
Are we done? Did I get fired? Did we all just get fired? Is that?
What's so funny? You guys are talking about getting fired. They would never let me in the buildings at any of these places. They really wouldn't.
That does not fucking surprise me.
My buddy
at all,
told
James.
I have a quick story. So this guy was he was about to railroad this famous Canadian person for no evidence. It was one of those Me Too stories that wasn't actually about anything. And I would haunt him and tell him that I knew about the story. He's like, "What the fuck do you know?" and everything. And it was so funny because then I have a friend that worked there, and she was like, "Yeah, so your name is up on the whiteboard in the newsroom with a big red X through it." And so because I kept on calling their first, second year reporters and getting a whole bunch of information. And yeah, Simon wants you to send me over the sources for this and that, and they just do it. And I just feel like, so Simon, what is Patricia saying now about this person, right? And anyways, so I can't even get in the building. I just wanted to let you guys know.
That's awesome. So your picture's up on the wall like it is in gambling establishments. Like, don't let this fucking guy in.
I've never gambled, but yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, I have, but only with my sexual health.
Or like guys who rob liquor stores. Their pictures, their pictures at the front door.
Yeah. Well, why am I not surprised? So what do these people do, Brent? Have you talked to anybody that lost their job today?
No, I only, no, I haven't actually. I've just kind of reached out to some of the radio people that I know and some people that are in the know. It's funny because my question to you guys, being from that world, this is like, because Vancouver, even though it's a city, is more of like a small town. This is like having like a massive mental effect on the list. There's people losing their mind about, what am I going to do now? This is the only station I've listened to anymore. These are they were relying on these people to get them through the day, and
I'd suggest that those people should probably do something
different. I understand.
A little light fucking look inside if that was what got them through the day, but I get it. I mean, everybody is so attached to personalities and everybody's attached to, routine, and radio was a big part of that. But I hate to tell everybody this, but I've been saying this for how long now, Brent? 3 years?
Longer, likely, but 3.
It's over. It's over. It's over. Today in Canada was, and this last week, TV's been over for a while. Print's been done for years. It's over for radio. Today, Bell just pushed all their chips in the middle and said, we don't want it. We don't want anything to do with this. And you know what? They might be right. That's the thing about it. It's like, sure, and the horrific nature with which it is done, that's my issue. Let's streamline the conversation and use some critical thinking. They might be right. You know what? And I happen to think they are. In fact, I bet my entire future on it. And I don't think that if there is someone right now considering getting into a radio and television program at your local community college, Locke, my advice is don't. My advice is go and take a software program, learn how to do content, if that's the content that you want to do. Because if your goal was to be in radio or television, it's over, man. It is dead. It is toast. The biggest owner of the most radio stations in this entire country doesn't want it. Like that's what this says. It doesn't say to me, oh, well, they're trying something new. No, they're putting on comedy CDs for an hour at a time.
I think
it's over.
I think the business of radio is taking a beating right now. I'm not on board the radio's done, just based on what I think a lot of broadcasters in the country bring to the table and what a lot of listeners get from it.
Can I
still
ask you a
think
question?
there's that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What do broadcasters bring to the table now they can't bring to the table on their own?
I'm not saying you're wrong from the business structure of it. I'm saying that I still think that there are a lot of people that get up in the morning and tune on a radio, but now, they do it through a home speaker or they do it streaming on their computer, and they're a click away from a million different voices. Right?
Can I ask you another question?
I think the whole thing is way too segmented, and it's becoming more and more difficult to make money at.
It is, but no one's there. We're all here. We're all here, and we're not going to go to a radio station here. We know that now. Like we've got enough analytics. There's been enough studies, been enough time. Equilibrium is here. It's long past equilibrium when it comes to revenue in digital or traditional. Digital revenue is off the charts, 1 billion times higher. That's where content is. And so our habits have changed. How many here, and this is just a little straw poll among the 5 of us meatheads, how many of us here? Hands up if you've gotten up in the morning in the past 2 years and flicked on the radio.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask if I beat off today.
Well, did you?
I did.
No, hands up. I want to know how many of you
but
guys.
It wasn't in front of the radio. It was in the shower.
How many?
Are you
how
talking
many?
about getting up, Dean, or like commuting? Because commuting,
actually, Dean. I've turned on the radio, but it's been on my phone.
Okay, it's on your phone. Now, so none of us.
ESPN radio.
Now, so none of us. Local radio, like you used to. None.
Terrestrial radio, you mean?
How many of us have gotten in our cars and started listening to the radio as soon as we got in our cars? Yeah.
1040 was the last one I listened
ESPN, 710 ESPN I listen to every day because I'm just sports guy. I don't want to.
Okay. How many of us have gotten in our cars and put something on the stereo from our phones first this week?
Every time.
Every one of us.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's called on demand. Nothing on demand about radio anymore. And the crazy part is that people like visionaries, these people that have been in charge of radio for a really long time, way too long, all of these people, God bless them, have just been kind of doing the job to keep the job. They haven't said, okay, we got to reimagine radio and we need to partner this. We need to do a digital first thing here. We can't keep doing this. We got to look at it as it's part of a digital property.
It's the infrastructure though, Dean, the amount of money they have into what it takes to broadcast, and that's why they're not willing to, and the consolidation killed the creativity in a lot of markets and in a lot of buildings and a lot of companies. So you're dealing with people that haven't necessarily been forced to think outside of the box because they're just trying to get through their fucking day. Because
I agree that radio is I don't agree with Dean. I agree with Locke. Radio isn't dead, but it sure is suffering a painful death, and the pulse is very, very, very weak. You're right, Dean. People do want on demand. They want it right now. They want it when they want it, and they don't want to wait until 5:30 in the morning to tune in to a radio show in the city of Toronto or Edmonton or any other city for that matter.
Edmonton, they do.
I would go so far as to say that when you were at the edge and things were I was there and things were doing great. That was the last great radio generation in a city like Toronto. When you left and I left and Daryl left and everyone else left and Martin Streak and everyone left, the station took a sharp decline. And now here we are in 2021. It's all but gone. It's shit. Another 5 years, I think these stations are just going to shut down, straight up shut down. Like
I was just going to say, isn't it a lot to do with short form content being built around like media time slots? Like the only reason a song, when you made a demo in the 90s, the only reason a song should be like 3 minutes, 3:30 tops, is because that's when commercials happen on radio, right? Like it wasn't because we had a short attention span. So I'm wondering, because I don't know anything about the industry from a back-end point of view, why hasn't there been sort of a content investment so that they could just like transition these people that they fired over to like pretty much not the same thing, but like creating content that's more long form, that's not, reliant on ads, that's not like shortened and timed out because of ads. Like why wasn't there any investment towards there? Because that's obviously the future, right? Like
May I?
Please.
Yeah. May I help, or may I add to that?
Did you raise your hand?
Thank you.
Dean, go ahead.
I'm being idealistic, I think.
About 7-8 years ago, myself, Kevin Smith, and Todd, guy I used to work with, we were talking to Rogers about coming over to do a radio show from Chorus. And I said, I don't think the future's in radio. This is 8 years ago. Yeah. I said, I don't think the future's in radio. I said, I'm pretty sure I think the future is in digital. And what I'd like to do is start a digital property. I'd like to start something that houses podcasts. And this is eight years ago. And no one understood it, except for a guy named Keith Pelly. Scott Moore didn't understand it. Julie Adam didn't understand it. I've had, I would say, 10 conversations over the past 2 years, maybe more, with presidents of radio about doing radio. And the request is always the same. It's, can you bring you and jam it into our universe and get you to do what we want you to do? We don't want you to be you. We want you to be this you for us. So a different person altogether. And the answer's always been no. Because I can't do that anymore. It doesn't work. It's disingenuous. It's failure. It will fail. Okay, great. To answer your question, nobody that is currently managing radio or television properties, or has, or was back then, has had the testicular fortitude or vaginal fortitude if you're a female. No one has had the vision. No one has had the nuts to go, listen, we're going to take that budget that we're making like 55% margins on, and we're going to start drilling it into a digital plan, like a real plan, so that we can be a digital first company, 100%. And they waited until it was too late. So now there's no admission of, we didn't do any of the work. We should have transitioned. We should have been that. We're changing to fit the landscape, and to change to fit the landscape, we got to fire all these people, and we got to do it like right now. Enter this weird Quibi conversation. Now, Brent, you know a little bit more about this than I do, but do you remember that app Quibi that everybody was so horny for, like the 10-minute content version? Like it was this new app where it's like no show is longer than 10 minutes. No news thing is, no movie is longer than 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes. And they put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in that. Brent, what's like Bell's connection to that?
Well, they made an agreement to house all their content, and then it fell out of the streaming platform universe within 2 weeks of the announcement.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I think that's where all the money went. So it sucks, but it's like, it's people are talking about the changing the landscape of media, but there are still some media companies holding. And when a major property like 1040 goes down, that tells me that there's still other decisions that were made, like Quibi, that might have been a pretty massive contributing factor. Like, we have no more fucking money left because we didn't make the right decisions when we were trying to keep up, like you said, Dean, to making the switch to this digital property, and it failed miserably. And I think that, honestly,
I also think you're dealing with companies that still remember the money they used to make on ad buys, right?
Yeah,
and they're still living in that world, right? Mm-hmm. We phoned a newspaper in Tabor because we wanted to put a billboard up in Tabor, Alberta, because we make fun of Tabor all the time, and Jimmy's from Tabor, and the company wouldn't let me put a billboard up. So they said, well, we might front the bill for, an ad in the newspaper. So we called the newspaper. They wanted to charge me $1,200 fucking dollars for an ad in a Tabor newspaper.
That's hilarious.
There's like 1,000 people in fucking Tabor. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, no wonder fucking Prince dying. You're $1,200 fucking dollars.
Look at you.
Like, what
You're
the
so hot. So
fuck?
hot over a personal ad in the Tabor newspaper. Great
No,
place
we
for
wanted an
porn.
ad. We wanted
Oh,
it
did you?
like
Sorry.
full page. It wasn't a personal ad. It was like, she's like,
So-
that'll be $1,200 if you don't want color. I'm like, what?
It's funny that the same people that won't take the risk in trying to come up with good digital content and get ahead of the curve are probably the exact same executives that hired Mike Bullard to be a late night talk show host. You know?
See, but hold on. Can I defend
it.
Mike Bullard?
No.
He was
In a way,
really funny
as long
when
as
you
you don't
saw
try
him.
to say
No,
he's
he
funny.
wasn't.
As long as you don't
He
try
was
to say
not
he's
on
funny.
TV. Okay,
he was
not
never funny.
He was not funny on TV, but he's one of the funniest hosts I've ever seen. He did a thing at CMW, and I was like, okay, maybe that's why. That's why they hired
His
him.
radio's okay, but dude, his stand-up thing, it was like bomb after bomb. Do you remember the late night show? It was like, and I'm gonna tell a joke and it's gonna suck. And then no one would really laugh.
That show is awesome.
You know what they should do is if they wanted to have a cautionary tale, if they wanted to tell a story to kids getting into television and radio, I want you to go and follow Mike Bullard on Twitter.
Yeah.
Why is it bad?
Hi, I'm at Yuck Yucks in my friend's backyard. Come see me tonight and just give me $5 and that'll do.
So it's like a Juliana press conference.
Oh my God. Yeah. He's awful. I feel terrible.
Dean, what about their decision?
A number of times, he's really nice.
What's that, Brent?
What about this decision then for them to go to comedy? I heard they're doing it in Edmonton, Locke. Like there's an all comedy stand-up station. That's another decision to me. That's like, if there's anyone making less money than musicians, it's stand-up comedy right now, right? And it's one of those things where it's like,
stealing their shit for
there's
free.
it's like, okay, we're gonna just can the station and every personality that, you know, in Vancouver's case is holding the city together, it seems, and then replace it with stand-up comedy that no one goes to see anymore.
I just found out about that literally when Dean went live. He went, oh, by the way, a whole bunch of people got fired across the country from Bell. So I have no idea what's going on. I just got home. So yeah. And by the way,
I heard they do it in your market. I heard in Edmonton has a stand-up comedy station. Somebody was talking about it, saying it's working there, but I don't know.
Hamilton does. Hamilton, not Edmonton.
We don't have one in Edmonton as far as I know, but we have like 23 signals in this. Like it's crazy how many they overexpanded too. The CRTC is partly to blame as well because they added too many sticks, right? And I think that's part of the issue in some markets, and Edmonton definitely would be one of them. So yeah.
They also have the distinction of being the completely area of Bell Canada. Don't forget.
Hey,
CRTC
not that I'm desperately trying to change topics, but if you guys get a chance, the Comedy Store doc, if you haven't seen it, is awesome. I watched it on the weekend. It's 5 episodes, and if you're even remotely interested in comedy, it's definitely something you might want to watch. It was on the hell was it on?
It's on
Crave.
Prime,
Yeah,
Crave? I'll watch it. I like
Crave
stuff
here.
like that. I'm just in the middle of one about the mob right now on it's called Making the Mob. And I love it. Fucking incredible, like the history of the mob and stuff like that. Speaking of things to watch, if you follow Locke on Twitter, he's been watching the entire Twilight saga because
I'm done. I'm done. I had to watch it. I had to watch it all in one day.
Watch the whole Twilight saga. Saga.
While a vegan.
Saga.
I'd
vegan.
like to point out.
Because he lost another round of celebrity death pool. Who died this time?
Okay, well, we did round 10, and Grant had Larry King. So he won, and I had to go vegan for the month of February. So I'm in the middle of that. 2 weeks later, we do our next picks. 2 weeks later, Dustin Diamond dies, who Jimmy had. So the punishment for that one was to watch all 5 Twilight movies back to back to back. And so I did that yesterday. I got a tweet from somebody that said, you should have done it on shrooms. And I'm like, fuck that. That's not going to be my reintroduction into psychedelics.
So my question, Locke, is there...
That was just a shout out to me anyways.
Did they give you questions to prove that you watched all episodes so you would know the information because you watched them?
No, we're of the honor system. Yeah. So Grant and I, but we were tweeting about it all day. It took me, I got up. By the way, I got shit tanked on Sunday too, because we were watching the Super Bowl, and so I had about 15 beer in me when I went to bed on Friday or on Sunday night. And then I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, took a horrible vegan shit, and then went downstairs and started fucking watching Twilight. I didn't finish until 4:30 in the afternoon. It was an awful day.
I think that's the name of a new Cannibal Corpse record. Horrible vegan shit.
You should call that segment on your show "Man Boobs."
Have you seen those movies? Those fucking, they're awful.
The great part was watching Locke go, okay, wait, she's in love with a vampire and then not so much. Now she's in love with a fucking werewolf. What is going on right now? And reliving how shit those movies were through your tweets. Like, it was fucking awful.
The best fight in all those movies is the fight between that guy's chest and his horrible acting ability.
Oh,
that guy is awful.
Taylor Lautner, yeah.
Oh, he was so bad. That's why I wasn't Team Jacob. I was totally Team Edward.
Is it okay that I lost a little bit of respect for you,
Darrin? It was a bet. I lost. I lost.
Fair enough.
By the way, don't ruin this for me. I'm on my way down to get waxed soon. So,
in better news, WandaVision's getting better.
I haven't watched the latest episode, but I think I'm invested enough now that
First
I'm going to
three were like, what the fuck's going on? 4 and 5 are like, okay, now it's getting good.
I've seen 4 where it turned into like an X-Files episode, and now
so FBI showed up. But now episode 5, all I'm going to say is Wanda's pissed.
Okay. All right.
She's pissed. She's got a bit of an accent in this one at times. And I will say this, and Brent, this is more directed at you. It's sort of a question. Why are they so short? Like, I feel like I settle in to watch an episode of WandaVision and it's over.
They're short, so the quicker they can make Lochlin angry. That's how it works.
The back credits are longer than the show.
Yeah.
No,
seriously,
I love it. Hit and runs, man. It worked. The format's working for the Mandalorian. Hit and run. Get your points in.
Those were an hour though.
The Mandalorians are like 40 minutes long.
40 minutes. Yeah.
The fourth episode of this of what's his tits? WandaVision. The fourth episode of WandaVision. Locke will appreciate that, right? What's his tits? It's the radio man's easy way out. Of WandaVision was like 5 minutes long. Literally the credits were half as long.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't speak to why they're making them. I can't speak to why they're making them so short, but I feel like they're reading like comic books, and that's why. So it's kind of hit and run, and I think you're going to see. And Chris, my co-host, touched on it. You know, they're going to see him in 3 segments. So the first 3, as Locke said, were like, "What?" And Darrin said, like, "What the fuck?" 4, 5, and 6 will be like, "Oh," and then, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be, the big battle, which may be longer, but they're reading like comic books now. They're playing out like comic books now. They're hit and run, touching on little points and gone. And I think it's working. I think it's working, especially now that you got, that people are starting to understand what they're doing with it. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun show to watch. It's just, it took a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was so fucking weird when you first started. Speaking of weird, I don't know if anybody's got COVID here. I know I don't.
Haven't gotten it again, but I'm fine.
But here in Ontario, Doug Ford was like, hey, I think we're going to ease restrictions because we're starting to get to only 4 times where they should have been to ease restrictions as opposed to 20 times. So we were at 4,000 a day. Now we're down to about 1,000 a day.
In Canada, all of Canada?
No, just in Ontario.
Just Ontario.
BC's been basically wide open for a while because Bonnie Henry's really good at her job, and we have a bunch of fucking rejects up here.
Almost said the R word. Okay.
That close. But I wanted to point out how serious Doug Ford is taking this. There are a lot of people out there that don't like Doug Ford.
I got a question.
Because they think he's politicizing it. He strokes his friends, as opposed to doing the right thing. He wants his corporate pals to do better than us. He's opening up and closing, and he shouldn't be doing any of it. This is how important our health is to Doug Ford. This is how important it is. And I want you all to pay attention to this, and I want you to listen to it very carefully, because we're lucky to have a leader like this. We're lucky to have a guy who cares this much about the 15 million people in this beautiful province of Ontario, currently suffering through the worst health crisis in the history of this province. Don't tell me we're not lucky. This is Doug Ford yesterday talking about COVID-19 and what we're going to be doing from here on in.
We're going to go down University Avenue and hand out these Timmy's card. Oh yeah, I got to give Timmy's a good plug. The best thing you guys ever did is make those real egg sandwiches. I used to go eat those other ones. They're the best, those real egg sandwiches. So whoever did that at Timmy's, good for you. And as for the Leafs mass today, lovely lady from Etobicoke made these in her house, and go Leafs go. We're going to go down
This is the first time I saw that. Are you fucking kidding? He actually said that?
Look at.
I'm laying it out right.
How's the pandemic, Doug? Here it is.
We're going to go down University Avenue and hand out these Timmy's card. Oh yeah, I got to give Timmy's a good plug. The best thing you guys ever did is make those real egg sandwiches.
Like, this is sometimes honestly why it's embarrassing being a Canadian. Like this fucking shit right here. Like his strategists are like, plug Timmy's. Lots of Canadians like Timmy's for some reason, and so we should plug it. Like,
hey, to be fair, those sandwiches are pretty damn good.
Oh fuck, no, they're not. None of that shit is good.
No, they are. You know why? Because they went with real egg sandwiches. Didn't you hear the difference between the old egg sandwiches and the new egg sandwiches? These are real egg sandwiches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got to give Timmy's a good plug. The best thing you guys ever did is make those real egg sandwiches. I used to go eat those other ones. They're the best.
I get
those
the
real
belt.
egg sandwiches.
They're the best,
bagel,
he said.
The bagel with the sausage, and then
started.
So good.
What the fuck is he
boys.
talking about?
All I want right now is a plate of eggs and a fucking steak the size of my head.
I'll tell you what he's talking about. He's talking about the plan. They're going to go down University Avenue. They're going to hand out cards for Tim Hortons so people can help themselves from Tim Hortons.
Like Bumpy Johnson throwing turkeys out of the back of a cube van. It's great.
So if just in case you're wondering, while we're on lockdown and we will be for another month, I was told today, not 2 weeks, it'll be a month. That's why, because that fucking guy would rather talk about real egg sandwiches than do the job of he was sworn an oath to do. He had sworn an oath to do.
Look at him. He's about 3 shirt sizes behind.
Not to mention he used the term "my Timmy's," which ever
since he hired Mel Lastman as his special advisor, things have just gone downhill for Mr. Ford. You know?
Hey guys, could you do me a favor? Can you close your eyes and just listen to this? Like 22,000 people are dead in this province, and this guy's updating us on the death and the miracle cure. Listen, just close your eyes. Pretend that that's what's happening, because that's what's happening.
Timmy's card. Oh yeah, I got to give Timmy's a good plug. The best thing you guys ever did is make those real egg sandwiches. I used to go eat those other ones. They're the best. Those
I can't believe that he said that still. I can't.
Yeah.
What is happening? Where are we?
How many did he have today? Let's do a poll.
And people are ripping our.
When did this happen? Was this today?
That was yesterday afternoon.
He had 4 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about egg sandwiches from Tim Hortons
Yeah.
at a
Middle of a COVID
briefing?
conference. Yeah.
A COVID conference.
Yeah.
And he's talking about egg sandwiches from Timmy's.
I'm surprised he wasn't and the pick 3 number today is 781.
And he took a chance to shit on McDonald's Egg McMuffins without saying their name too. I used to eat those other ones.
Corporate versus cultural.
Hey, middle of a COVID press conference. So many people dead. So many dying. We can't leave our fucking houses. We can't leave our fucking houses. And he's like, by the way, just before we get to the death, guys, I know it's bad, but by the way, before I update you on vaccines, of which we have none, and all the death.
Out these Timmy's card. Oh yeah, I got to give Timmy's a good plug. The best thing you guys ever did is make those real egg sandwiches.
That's unbelievable. Dean, what's worse? Let me ask you, Ashley, not Dean, all of you. What's worse? This fucking clown Ford talking about egg sandwiches from Tim Hortons during a COVID conference where people are starving for real, tangible health information on how they can better their lives and get back to normal. Or Donald Trump talking about injecting bleach. Which one is during a COVID conference? Which one is worse?
Oh, Trump for sure.
Yeah, because people actually did that. They did. People drank bleach and got sick.
Yeah, there was a great report on that. Like 11,000 people
Or like
in the United
drinking
States did it. No,
I-
11,000 people killed themselves.
Only
with bleach last
11?
year. Yeah, that
Really?
was it.
That
was
is
it.
awful.
Yeah.
That's great. It should have been higher. I wish it should have been 11 million.
I feel so
agree.
sorry for their families.
We've talked about this at great length, Dean. Zero sympathy, zero fucks.
Yeah, I know. I love you for it. All right, that's it for us. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the podcast. That is Lochlin Cross from 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. Morning guy. If you're out there, give him a listen. Listen online as well. Follow him on Twitter at Lochlin Cross. Brenton on Tour from the Brenton on Tour podcast. Of course, the Kids on the Escalator podcast at DeanBlundell.com as well. Appreciate you being here for our Vancouver update. Thanks, brother. Darrin Pfeiffer from the band Goldfinger. That song Superman. I listened to it the other day because someone was like, Darrin, I love that song Superman on Twitter. Did you see that? Did you see him tell you how much they love that song? Did you see that? No.
Very, very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super
FTN, FTN. Great tune.
Money is pouring in.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. And the
How about
dangerous
the expensive AirPods.
Attaboy, Dangerous Darrin show on Adobe Radio and DeanBlundell.com. Who's on this week? What do you got? What do you got for us?
This week we have, I already forgot. We got Tally Osborne, Canadian motivational speaker.
Oh, cool.
She's best known as Nubs from the NoFX song She's Nubs. She's really short and she has no arms.
Mhm.
And she's really into punk rock and NoFX.
She's got nubs. Yeah,
Nubs.
yeah. Yep.
And now she's turned that into a motivational speaking career. Doing very
Can
well.
you?
Good for
sorry,
her.
Quick question: would you be allowed to come out with a song in 2021 called "Nubs" about an
If you're
amputee?
NoFX, you can do whatever
Only
you
if
want.
Nubs was singing it.
If you're NoFX, you can kind of just do it. And they have a new song out right now called "Fuck Euphemism."
Oh,
It's really, really good. They're a punk band. They can do and say whatever they want.
I guess so. Yeah, I
The
like
singer
that
drinks
one.
his own pee. and
Yeah,
talks like getting
I know, and I still like
Is that
it.
for health reasons?
All right.
No, he's out there. He's a 10 on that.
Okay, hold on. Next
Brenton.
week, can we talk about fucking James's headphones? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
For sure. That's James DiFiore as well. At James
Where's
Dick.
secret code headphones? You guys have no fucking idea what it's like.
blackballmedia.ca. No, you just borrowed your kids. I know what you did.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I borrowed them from the library. Did you guys even know that I was a librarian? This is gonna totally blow your mind. I'm a librarian.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No one knows the
I'm
Dewey
from the
Decimal
library. They were in
System
the
better.
Lost FM.
Did they let you eat mushrooms at the library?
If by let, do you mean did they not find out if I ever did? Then yes.
Well, it's like me being drunk on air. I've been
Yeah.
drunk on air before.
Yeah.
No one.
I've
I
never
told
done
off
that.
Rain's kid.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
It's a great day for me.
Yeah.
Have a great time, everybody. Thanks
Dewey
for
Decimal?
yeah,
Fuck
we
you.
appreciate it. Thanks to our friends at Blue Microphones at Blue Microphones on Twitter.
Oh, we lost
The
James.
official microphone of DeanBlundell.com. He doesn't want to be a punchline. You should see our tweets back and forth with him. He'll be tough by the end of the month for sure. He
He's
will.
getting used to it.
And there's Darrin with his blue microphone. There you go. Blue microphones. The official microphone,
find someone
DeanBlundell.com.
me.
and the podcast network. Also, thanks to Ed's Fine Imports. I was there today. Curbside pickup. He's got a whole bunch of gitch in there. So get him. I'm wearing them now. He's also got 34 Heritage jeans, which I picked up today. They stretch with you. Great pandemic wear. It's like wearing comfy pants, but they're jeans. So go to Ed's Fine Imports today. And if you use promo code GITCH3, you get like a sweet deal on a pair of Gitch. He'll send you 4, even though you only pay for free when you use promo code GITCH3. That's edsfineimports.com. And our friends over at Domination, Dominate with Content, DMNTN.com. Domination is how we produce our content. Super easy. Give it a try for free. Go there today if you do what we do, or if you produce any content, videos, promos, that kind of stuff, domination.com. Have a great day. Thanks for being part of the podcast. And sign up for our newsletter at DeanBlundell.com as well.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Bye. It's such a creepy fucking thing. You just look creepy. Have a great day, everybody.